What up, guys, and welcome back to Promotions. This is another Let's Talk About It. I'm Jerry,
And I'm Corey.
and let's get right into this. So we actually have three pretty
Solid questions.
yeah, we have some pretty well thought out questions, and one of them due to a very good friend, Mark of ours. He got us on the thought trail of it, but then the other two, we were on the internet topic. So this is gonna be a lot of stuff about internet, and we're good at internet, so I think we'll have some good answers. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the first question. So Corey, if you would please.
Okay. What are certain trends that you consider dumb or annoying?
Well, I think we all know the very, very first trend that we have to bring up because of today's stupidity on the internet is the goddamn Tide Pods.
Why are you eating them?
Why?
They're not meant to be eaten.
Not gummy candies. They're Tide Pods.
Why do we have to tell you kids this?
They're chemicals for cleaning supplies.
Oh, yeah.
I did a Rick thing again where I ripped mid-talk.
Yeah, mid-talk. It's all good.
Oh, jeez.
He hated Tide Pods.
I get the hiccups to see a bubble coming out. But seriously.
Oh, it smells like freshness.
That smells so good. But there was a new... People are going to the hospital. There are chemicals to clean. You know, if you're dirty inside, you need to see a pastor. Not a goddamn Tide. You don't need to go chug some Gain. You're going to chug some Gain next?
Actually, I'm a big fan of Febreze.
You know,
it has a very nice aftertaste.
You're going to pour a cup. You know, you got to pour the cup to measure. You're going to pour a cup of that and just real quick. You know,
man.
it's all syrupy and stuff. You just slowly drink it. It's like medicine.
But what other trends and annoying things do you consider part of pop culture that you wish weren't, or part of internet culture that you wish weren't? Like, I know certain memes are annoying to certain people. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example to give you.
I don't know. Memes are pretty good.
Well, I mean,
if you don't use them for wrong.
yeah.
If you use them and purposely put captions, racist memes can go both ways. If it's a person that is very understanding and not offended easily, then they'll have a good laugh, because let's all be serious here. Racist humor is hilarious. It's considered dark.
It can be. It has to be clever, though.
Yeah, it can't just be like, you're black, so you're a N-word. And you just,
Yeah, in which case, people are just going to give you that look like, really, bro?
you're like, we're going to fight.
Yeah, probably. They are going to fight you.
Just going to punch you in the face. But
yet again, I mean, if it's a clever joke, then that totally works. But for me, I have to say one of the trends that I find dumb is dances. Either certain dances or, for instance, like songs that are hella annoying. Like earworms. Like, for instance, Harlem Shake was one of the topics that came up. And the Harlem Shake was annoying to me because in the very beginning, the first video, he had to dance. The first video was actually entertaining because it was the first time it was being done. So I was like, okay, you know, this is actually pretty funny. But it's the fact that NBA teams, schools, certain colleges,
consonants.
Yeah, it's office day. Yeah, it's a Friday at the office. Let's go ahead and do a Harlem Shake video because it'll be funny for the company. Same thing with the phrase YOLO. I remember when people were saying YOLO like crazy, and I wanted to slap the shit out of them because you only live once, but that's the point. You live once, so live fucking carefully. Don't be an idiot.
Yeah, don't.
I'm gonna chug this bottle. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna chug this whole bottle of vodka. YOLO.
YOLO. I'm gonna eat a Tide Pod.
Yeah, exactly. See, the thing about popular things is it's okay to like popular things, but if you're doing it because everyone else is on the bandwagon, then you just seem like an impressionable chode, and we don't want to hang out with you anymore. So that's why I hated the Harlem Shake, because everyone wanted to do it, and I was like, no, it's lost its uniqueness.
Same thing happened with the mannequin challenge. It was cool at first.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
like, hey, that's pretty cool. Everybody's just like, and then the camera's just going through. Some people had like, you know, drinks pouring over, still framed in there. But then you got people in the hood doing it.
Oh yeah, and that's when it got way too far. Yeah,
it's just like, one of them was funny because one of them was like, everybody was like this, and then they got to the one guy in the car door. He was like, achoo. He's like, Everybody's like, "Oh, come on!" But yeah, that was cool. But then the same thing with you know, the kind of like the mousetrap type things where you set it up and everything's just going. There's people that would shooting basketball, throwing it back and forth, jumping into a pool. That was cool until the 50,000th time that someone was like, dude, until that one person actually made it instead of trying to be like, yeah, everybody's doing cool stuff, and then the last person has to miss, and that one person was finally like, dude, you're just 360, 820, 5,000 spins in the air, and there was just like, under the leg slam dunk. You just like,
oh
amazing.
My goodness. Well, you just made me think of one more thing I want to address before we move on to the next question. Well, yet again, like we said, the racist jokes are not necessarily the best territory. I mean, but at the same time, you have to have a sense of humor when it comes to being a person. Absolutely. If anything, I know Jerry is Puerto Rican, but sometimes I'll make a Mexican joke just to basically be a jerk, because I am a jerk sometimes. But the thing that I find to be the most annoying trend whatsoever, I don't know if I said that right, but the most annoying trend I feel right now would be the Catch Me Outside girl. Oh my goodness, America. Go ahead.
I want to guess. I want to take a guess. It's not the Catch Me Outside part. It's the fact that she got so popular off of it and actually got songs now, and she's on a record label and all.
Atlantic Records came to a 16-year-old girl who acts ghetto and said, hey, we want to give you thousands if not millions of dollars to make songs because you are a meme and memes are hot and we want to jump on this bandwagon. So we know you're ignorant as hell and you treat people with so much disrespect, but we're going to give you the American dream wrapped up with a red little bow. And that has to be the most annoying and dumbest thing, because you're encouraging young people as opposed to, studying hard and, learning how to do something with skill. You're telling them, or subconsciously telling them, if you are ignorant as fuck and do whatever you want and break the rules, you may get on a talk show and that'll be the platform you need to become a flipping recording artist or whatever you want to be. You be a Kardashian. Just put out a sex tape. Why not? Go ahead and do it. Go on, kids. Go out there and just destroy your lives and maybe you'll get a reality show out of it. Why not? So, I know I'm sounding preachy.
Why not? Because yellow!
I know I'm sounding preachy, but as a person who came from a very traditional background and like someone who's been taught that you have to work hard, you have to try to be the best as what you can be, it's so infuriating to see people come up for having the worst qualities in a human being. So, Alright, I'm sorry, Jay. You go right on ahead.
Let me tell you now, the Catch Me Outside girl, she did not know the way.
I actually like that meme. So in that case, you can go ahead and move on to number 2.
Not know the way. And on your way out, on your YOLO adventure, grab some Tide Pods, stuff them in your mouth. We're moving on to the next question. Let's do this.
Oh man. Okay. So all right. So in regards to internet, we're also talking about games. So here's the next question: why do you consider indie games important?
Now, let me just shout out real quick to
our boy Joey,
Iron Edge Studios. I almost said Joey Studios. I don't know why. But the importance of indie game creators such as them is the fact that these big name companies like Rockstar and all these people like
Bethesda and EA. EA, man, they are these slave traders of video games, dude. They work the shit out of their staff. Yeah. Anyway,
but the thing is that they're following what's popular, so they're sticking to certain themes. The thing about indie game makers is they go with whatever they want. Man, I've seen kind of shmups or like shoot 'em up games or platformers and stuff that are kind of the same, but then they have that slight twist on it. I just saw a Markiplier play one actually where I wouldn't consider it a rage game, but basically you're a white square and you can explode paint. but the whole level is invisible to you, and that's how you find your way. When you die, you splash paint, and it stays there. You don't have a live stock, you don't have nothing like that. You just got to get through it, and it gets harder and harder as you progress. But it gets to that point where you have to kill all the enemies to unlock the door, but as you're going, things get harder. I think it's by the same maker of Meat Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that. But
that's a pretty dope indie game as well that got really popular.
Yeah. Meat Boy, The Binding of Isaac, I believe, was also an indie game at some point. And if you go on Steam now, and even the Oculus, you will see tons of games that aren't even big name games. And people get upset when indie makers try to ask for some money. Like $15 is the highest I've seen, unless it's a really high quality game, and they'll go for like $25. It's never a ridiculous price, but you don't even give them a chance because most people rate games by graphics. It's not even really about graphics, it's about the story. And indie game makers always have a reason to make their games. And I have seen some amazing stories from indie game makers.
Which is funny that you mentioned stories, because I was telling Jerry, I think I told him at one point about the Stanley Parable, and he ended up playing it when we had the old channel back in the day, which is like a year ago. I don't know why I'm saying back in the day, but there's another game by the same person who made Stanley Parable called The Beginner's Guide, and this actually enlightened me about what it is like to be a indie game maker. Because the guy who created Stanley Parable, he had a friend who was a mentor to him who created these elaborate, incredible games. But because of him being a shy and reclusive person, he hated getting attention. So he made these incredible games, but in a way it was to him like therapy. It was his way of making something so he didn't have to focus on how crazy or how sad his life was. So I feel like indie games are important because it is an art form. As an artist, you want your work to be expressed to as a big audience as you can, but at the same time, as a artist, you hate being considered mainstream or doing something that's been done before. So I feel that indie games are important because they're games that are going to push the limits of creativity and ideas, because it's all about trying to find the next Minecraft. Because Notch, he is so ridiculously rich, guys, that he actually stole a house from Beyonce and Jay-Z. At one point, he was trying to get a house. Jay-Z and Beyonce wanted it, but he actually outbid them for that house. So he started probably back in like late 90s, just working on a little game by himself, and maybe he had a crew of people that helped him, but who would have knew that it would, and who would have knew that it would have become a game that is so like monumental that there is cons every year just for that game.
Yeah. So
I feel that every person who works on a game has a potential to become the next Notch or the next big game developer. Even me and Jerry have a game idea. If you guys want to hear it, you probably should message us privately, because I ain't sharing it. It's a great idea.
Yeah, we're our priority for talking about it is actually Joey, because they worked on the other game and we kind of want to get with them and see. But
it's about Soda Pop. I'll say that much.
We know they're busy, so making other games and stuff. So we're waiting out until, for one, we get a good situation, and for two, for when you guys are free.
Yeah, if you want to talk to us about it, just message us through the Twitter or the Facebook. Twitter for Jerry, Facebook for me. But I think it's a great idea, and it could be fun.
It is a pretty good idea. But back into the indie games thing, what I wanted to say is Corey mentioned the whole pushing the
creativity. Yeah,
creativity.
Yeah,
that's a very important part. And I just I feel like the step away from like mainstream games would be good, because now if you look at games now, you look at them, let's say you walk into a GameStop. I walk into GameStop looking for a new game, and I'm just disappointed every single time.
Shooter, platformer, shooter.
But then if it's not a mainstream shooter, it's not good. And I actually fell off Call of Duty because
The story seems to repeat itself over and over.
I like the story parts, but I feel like they're going way too futuristic. It's supposed to be a war game, but it's going futuristic because futuristic games are becoming popular.
Oh god, we're getting crucified. They're like, they don't like Call of Duty.
I like the older Call of Duties, but you know, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I personally stopped having interest in it because it just started moving towards the same path everything else is moving towards, and I'm getting tired of all this technology type games. That's why indie games really caught my attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because platformers are still amazingly fun. RPGs are hella fun, especially with a great story. I will play a game if it's just pixels. You give me a little blob and tell me this is ape thing, but to me it looks like a square that's green.
Man, one of my favorite games to this day is still Duck Hunt, just because it's simple fun. And that's what a lot of these indie games have, is the fact that it's a fun factor. It's not necessarily about trying to set up an atmosphere sometimes, or set up a storyline. Sometimes it's just about, hey, here's something fun to do.
If a game has enough tasks, that's another thing about indie games. You have tasks. Like Mass Effect, yeah, you had tasks in there, and then you had your action sequence. But indie games, they don't. They've done it to where, for one, because it's on PC mainly, they've done it to where it's basically like a life simulation type deal. Stardew Valley, that was a great one. It reminds you of Harvest Moon, but then you have all these other twists on it, and then there's games like that come out, and then there's just other type of simulation games that come out. A bunch of the clicker games that I played a hell of a lot of clicker games because I have a lot of idle time.
Oh yeah, or even browser games, man. Like people on Congregate or Newgrounds, like. There's a lot of amazing games that no one has played, and maybe a lot of people have played it, but they only played it once or twice, man. But those games, I'll maybe come back to them if I'm bored enough, man. Like, I think there's this one game called Weapon, and it's basically you're trying to shoot people who are trying to attack your downed helicopter. And that game is totally worth playing for hours, because you can upgrade all your guns, you can get a sniper to help you out, you got grenades you can toss, and it's a simple game, but it's fun. And that's what indie games are to us, is that they're fun things for us to do because we get tired of hearing the same stories or doing the same shoot, run here, shoot, run here, shoot, run here.
Even if it is a shoot, run here type deal, they at least put a twist on it, because these are people who know they don't have millions of dollars to put into a game for graphics, space, data, all this stuff. So they give you what is kind of streaming right now, and then they put their twist on it. So now you have a new idea thrown at you. Take mods, for example. Half-Life mods are crazy in depth. Minecraft mods, crazy in depth.
Man, even Grand Theft Auto 5, dude. Yeah. Some of the stuff they're doing with that, man, it's to a point where they actually had to shut down several servers because people were hacking it like crazy.
Dude, even Ark Survival Evolves has a Pokemon mod because Pokemon Go was big. You can walk around Ark with a Charmander that will actually fry a dinosaur for attacking you. I called it Bellsprout, but my other computer I had it on kind of wasn't strong enough, so I'll probably have to do it again some other time. But
technology is our friend. It may distract us, but if you don't let it distract you and you find cool things within it, then yeah, I mean, why not utilize it? Why not try to make something new and different? So I feel that's an important thing for us to have, is people who are willing to be outside of the main path or the main games and be able to create their own stories and their own ways of expressing how to have fun.
Which I think segues into the next question. So go ahead and read the next
one. The next question is, it's in regards to creativity. So, is creativity exclusive to people who create things all the time, or people who do it every so often?
Now, my answer to this is there is absolutely no exclusivity to creativity. I just rhymed.
There's no exclusivity to creativity.
But what I mean by that is everybody in the most minimal sense of your day, you had to do something creative. Why? Because there at some point every single day of your life something difficult happens. You see some kind of obstacle. Even if you're just laying there all day, like for example, I lay on my back long enough, my back starts to hurt. But if I lay on my side, and my headphones gonna squish my ears, and I might get a headache. So now I have to be creative in how I position myself to lay down to be able to, one, comfortably listen to my headphones, and two, not have a hurt back. Now, by this point, it's not creativity anymore. But at that first time, I was like, man, I never laid like this. This is a weird position, but it feels great. So it's the smallest way is creative. But as dumb as an example as that was, you kind of get my point. Is in the smallest thing that serves as a problem, you have to find a solution. But in able to find a solution to things that don't have a direct answer all the time, you have to be creative enough to figure it out for yourself. For example, there's probably several different ways in every game for a person to beat something. There's several different ways for me and you to draw a Pikachu. Bars.
And again, he did that unintentionally. Dope. All right, anyway.
But, you know, if me and you play the same song on an instrument, there's going to be one part that we will do different because to us it's going to have a different sound and feeling to it. So we create in ways that represent who we are on the inside in a more major scale, not in the turning my position so my back starts hurting scale. But you know what I mean. So to me, it is no exclusivity in creativity. Bars. Drops the mic.
Well, yes, I agree with what Jerry is saying. That he phrases it like that. Like, for instance, you cook something, you get dressed in the morning. The way you do it actually has levels of creativity. For me, I feel like I'm very stagnant creativity currently. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the channel, and we are expressing ourselves in a very creative manner. Every time we get together to form a video, actually. As you can see here, I take down notes. I try to become the librarian / secretary of the group by making sure that we have fresh ideas for you guys because I want you guys to be engaged. But at the same time, I'm used to really high levels of creativity. Like I think about a year or 2 years ago, I would do creative things all day. As soon as I got home, I would sit down, I would put on a pair of headphones, I would work on a few beats, I would write 2 to 3 poems, and then on top of that, I would actually watch a YouTube video about the creative process according to Jim Carrey or Andy Warhol or these major names. And it's to a point where creativity was all I would do, but at the same time, I felt lonely because I didn't have interactions with people or friends. So it kind of stagnated my creativity in a different way. But now life is a little different. I actually have a girlfriend that I'm currently living with, and I have to be respectful to her attention and her needs because I can't have that intense focus anymore because people are important. You can't get lost in your art because if you do, you're going to push away all the people in your life because you're focused on just that one thing.
Right.
So I feel like creativity can diminish a little bit, but it never necessarily leaves. At any point I wanted to make a new song, I just have to try to find a time to sit there for 2 or 3 hours and maybe make something. Who knows? That song could be more impressive than the one that took me 6 hours a year ago because I actually have more focus now and I have priorities as opposed to before I would let my brain wander, but now I have to grab the horse by the fucking mane and just drag it and be like, hey, this is what we need to do because we don't have enough time to wander. So I feel like creativity is definitely a muscle. I want to be the most creative person that I can, but
it's a brain muscle.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not exclusive. People, everyone has levels of creativity. For me, I just want to be the most creative son of a bitch ever. But you gotta be realistic. So
And it's just like your boy Craig from the backstories part 2. Man, the dude is creative enough to come up with ninjas kidnapping his families, and he wanted $4 for karate lessons.
man, I would have probably gave it to him just because his sign is that hilarious. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all it takes. That's all it takes is basically a great idea, and I want to be a person who, when I die, I want people to be like, wow, look at all of these ideas that he actually put down. Like, I won't even have to like maybe utilize all of them, but if I could just have a log of all the things that I thought about, that could be enough to inspire the next generation to become even more creative than I ever was. So
exactly, we leave examples for the next ones to come, and hopefully we leave good examples here at Bro Motions. I think we will. We say a lot of cool things. Just hopefully they don't take our grab Tide Pods and shove them in your mouth part too serious.
I mean, it's great to see the channel like slowly growing, because it makes me realize that like me and Jerry are actually fantastic personalities, and you guys like us enough to actually come back week after week and see what we have to say about the random
Much
bullshit.
appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're so grateful to be doing this for you guys, and we hope that we can inspire you to become more creative people as well, because now that me and Jerry have this channel, I have a medium to do it. I have a medium to be creative, and me and him are creating what we always wanted, and we talked about this since day motherfucking one.
And literally, I've been working with Corey, just working. I've known Corey for about 4.5 years, but I've only been working with him for about a year and a few months. And since the first day, maybe not first day because I started on the day shift.
Yeah,
but I'll say about 3 weeks in, me and Corey. Actually, no. Let me take that back, because even since Britt and Jerry was up, me and you have been talking about we're gonna do this channel. We've been had this idea. We've been talking about Bro Motions for ages, and we finally got it up. And I've never been so happy to actually be part of something, because I get to do it with somebody who's a really good friend and is kind of on the same level of thinking as I am.
We wanted a community, and that's the thing that me and Jerry talked about all the time, like, because we're people who used to express ourselves, and also our human interaction was through machines, and we wanted to try to utilize real human interaction with the machines and the computers that we use all the time. So the fact that we have more support now than we did before, that's fantastic, because that means something's working.
Don't worry, we won't get all teary-eyed and stuff.
Actually, I'm gonna cry a little bit off camera.
Maybe next time. We'll get a bunch of.
It's so special. Oh god.
We'll get a bunch of sob tracks for you guys, and some what are those tissue things?
Friendship.
No, not that. The tissues they put to your nose, and it immediately helps.
I don't know what those are called.
You know the commercial. Kleenex. Hey, you get some Kleenex. We're gonna sit it right here.
We can't say that. We'll get copyrighted.
Next clean.
That sounds alright.
And so we're gonna be doing a lot, man. We hope we have plenty more people to join. Hopefully sooner, than rather than later, because the sooner we can grow fast, the sooner we can do more. And we really want to move forward with our ideas, but we don't want to do anything big, because then we've already done it and people are going to be late on the train ride. And so right now we're just kind of taking it kind of slow, but
and all of that is experimental. We're actually thinking about new ideas all the time. Like I said before in the first video we put out, I have a notebook page covered in ideas.
And we're still adding to it too.
Absolutely, every single day.
But we're also planning to get into camera, so when we do that, we have plenty more ideas with that coming. So, guys, just keep adding ideas with us.
And before we do our departure, I just want to say, guys, please, what he just said, you have to let us know what content is interesting to you, because then we can take that content and we can run with it like we just stole something.
Except we'll shout out the person that gave us the idea.
Yeah, we're not gonna steal it from you. We're just gonna run with it like I was using metaphor.
We'll grab the baton and run the rest of the mile for you.
But I'm not gonna run. I'm not gonna lie. I'm too
just-
fat for that, but I'll try.
We'll probably pick you up on one of those medical bed things and carry you the rest of the way. I'll go backwards.
No man left behind.
No man.
Or woman. Or whatever you identify with.
No friend left behind.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Nailed it.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. And as we always like to say on Bro Emotion, say it with us.
Make 'em number 2. Because if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.